This is where bodies would have been taken after you've passed away in the hospital.
And just to the right of us, something caught my eye, and it looked like a figure, somebody.
Can you slam it shut if that's you? People believe they've seen your apparition outside on the green. Whoa! Door's just opened. The door's just opened. Whoa!
Behind this modern country park, enjoyed by families, children and dog walkers, lies a history of tragedy and suffering. Work on a brand new isolation hospital at Scaffold Hill started in 1903, initially to provide care for 20 patients treating the likes of TB, measles, smallpox and scarlet fever. It was a time when the very best medicine was fresh air away from busy cities. These were diseases which at the time had high mortality rates. When a nurse, Alicia Glue, filled in the 1911 census form, she confirmed that the hospital was full, including 3 men listed as coal workers from the nearby Rising Sun Colliery and 10 children. Within 2 years, a matron's house was built on the grounds so that staff could live here. That was followed by a new ward to deal with the growing demands for beds. A discharge block was also added for those lucky enough to beat the disease, an extra measure to make sure that these deadly diseases did not get out into the outside life. It's also believed the bodies were washed in here after they died. After being washed in the bathhouse, they were carried into the mortuary, with the steel iron bars over its windows and a covered pathway so dead bodies could be moved without patients being able to see from their beds. At its peak, the hospital had 2 ward buildings, giving it a capacity for 72 people, each ward with a viewing window so relatives could look at their loved ones without coming into any physical contact, lowering the risk of spreading these dangerous diseases. Isolation periods lasted between 6 to 8 weeks. Relatives could follow their loved ones' improvements in the local newspaper, which regularly updated its readership on the hospital. The hospital was also used in World War II for soldiers that were returning from battlefields where illnesses spread like wildfire. In 1971, a petition was successfully launched to rename the hospital to the Holystone Hospital, the term Scaffold drawing many to claim it was distasteful and similar to public execution gallows. Despite false rumours of it being an execution site, the name actually originated from the fact that this land was used for horse racing in the 1600s, and a scaffold was an early term for a grandstand. And in its final years, this hospital was transformed into a place for elderly patients before closing its doors for good in 1986. Those injured or killed at the nearby Rising Sun Colliery, or the quarry located right behind this building, were also taken here. There has been quarrying and mining on this site since the 1600s, and countless deaths and tragedies have taken place below ground. The buildings now have modern usages, but staff have reported many strange sightings in and around the wards. The mortuary is now a storage room for the caretaker, but people have reported feeling icy cold touches in here. A modern day building is built on the site of the old matron's house. Surprisingly, it's said to be the most active, with footsteps and a strange feeling of being watched coming from in here. In 1997, a caretaker who lived in the house on this site took a gun into his garage and ended his life. A memorial plaque has been placed over a grassy area where his ashes have been spread. Today the site is home to North Tyneside Council, and the staff have all kinds of stories.
Yeah, so it was in the winter. It was about quarter past 7 in the morning. It was pitch black. So I was driving up the road, and just to the right of us, something caught my eye, and it looked like a figure, somebody, and I actually thought it was the caretaker. So I just drove into work, parked, and then thought nothing of it that day. And then I realised, well, I got told that the caretaker wasn't actually in that day, so it wasn't the caretaker. But I never thought nothing of it until a couple of weeks later, and then an old manager had come into the office and started talking about ghosts and things, and he explained he had seen one, and it was exactly the same place, same area, and it was like a bit like a silhouette, which is kind of what I've seen as well. Don't know if it was male or female, but it was just like a white silhouette. Yeah, I'm almost sure that was a ghost. Well, we've had a caretaker who has since passed away, but he used to, he would hate going into one of the rooms as well, which is now our volunteers room, but that was part of the morgue. He hated going in there. He just kind of just wouldn't, if he could avoid going in, he would. And we've also had staff that work in the cafe. They've heard people walk past the corridor when they've been closed as well. And another instance was we had a member of staff who was looking up the buildings, and then as they were just about driving past, they've seen a shadow, like a figure of somebody in that corridor. So yeah, there's been quite a few. And sometimes they hear footsteps in the corridor as well. So quite a few things have happened, yeah.
Just weeks after I filmed this very episode, I was here investigating this site as a team when a good friend of mine, whom I've known for many years as a reliable and honest ghost hunter, left the mortuary block in tears after she described seeing a little girl aged about 11 standing right beside her, with wet hair and scratches on her face. The figure was still there after she switched her torch on and fled. I take a lot of ghost stories with a pinch of salt, but I could see in the tears that my friend was not making this up, and she was quite upset about it. Before we start, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe to the Dead Air channel, where we have lots of ghost hunts already on there that you can watch. My night of investigating starts in one of the hospital isolation wards.
Well guys, welcome along to the Rising Sun Country Park, or as you would have called this back in the day, the old Scaffold Hill Hospital here in North Tyneside. This place I'm standing right now is one of those hospital wards where people who had an infectious disease, whatever you want to put on there, would have been in one of these beds. Now the beds have obviously gone, but this room I am in would have been where people would have spent between 6-8 weeks without any contact with the outside world. This was a specialist hospital. You didn't come here if you broke your arm or you had an operation that you needed to have. You came here if you had a really bad disease, and that's where we're going to start off in here tonight. Let's flip the camera. We've got an automatic light that will go off eventually. That's the toilets through there, but until that goes off, this is the room that I am in right now. You can imagine it. Probably between each window, I would imagine, would have been where the beds would have been. So there could have been a bed here, somebody occupying this bed. This whole room would have been full of people who were very contagious. Now, I want to show you this window. You couldn't even meet your family. If you were a young child, this would have been your boundary, if you like, to the outside world. And it was this window. This window is where you would have waved to your family. I'm not going to go round and show you it from the other side because that's going to cause the automatic light to come on. There is an automatic light through there. But basically, through this door, round to the right, it's now a resources room. It was a room where your relatives could come. And they would see you here. This is where you'd come and sit. You might pull up a chair, or you might be wheeled if you were too badly, too weak to walk. You would have been wheeled up here to this window. Now they've put like a covering over it just to divide the two rooms. But back in the day, this glass was where your mum, your dad, your sons, your kids would come and look at you, and who touched this glass. And you know that thing they do where you press your hand on the glass and they do it on the other side, and it's kind of like you're holding hands. We saw a lot of that in especially care homes during the pandemic. This was like the closest you could get to your family. And we're not talking a week or two. These were diseases where you had to be in here, like I say, for a couple of months, 6 to 8 weeks. 72 people, not in this particular room, but 72 people in this hospital. There's two identical wards like this. We can't go in the other one because it's been converted into a facility for youngsters. Oh, the light's gone off. That's cool. So we're now in complete darkness in here. I was too busy looking at the screen. Is there any spirits in here who click straight away? Any spirits in here that would like to communicate with me? There's kind of like a side bit through here. Now, I don't know what this was for, whether this was an extension of the... Oh great, we've got an automatic light that comes on. Don't want to set that one off. Is there any spirits in this room? Maybe you were here as a patient from either an infectious disease after the Second or during the Second World War. This was used as a place for soldiers who came back from the war. That's gone off. Soldiers who came back from the Second World War. And of course, when you've got a lot of soldiers in camps and in very close proximity, disease is just going to go through it like a... In fact, I'm going to illuminate this place a little bit more because we're in so much darkness. That's a little better. When I filmed in here with Alan Robson before Christmas 2024, Alan did his intro link. It's down here. And I was stood off camera over here, just sort of by this curtain. So I was probably stood about here, so not next to it. And as he was talking, there was a knock, and it came from here somewhere. Now I don't know what caused that. We've listened to it back. We don't know what caused that. 2 staff members were watching the show being filmed. They were standing about here. So it wasn't them, but something knocked in this room. Can you do a knock for me? Can you knock really loud so I can hear where you are? I'll introduce myself. My name is Rob. I come to places like this where I believe there are still spirits around with the hope of trying to communicate with you so that you can communicate with this side if you've got any messages to pass on. Or perhaps you just want to prove that you exist. I would hate to think that this is where your life ended, in this room. And that was it. Like that. Finished. Over. Darkness. No consciousness. But I would like to think why has that come on? Why has that light just come on? That is only on a sensor. I can't go in there. That's the resources room. I would hate to think that this is where your life ended, in this room. And that was it. Like that. Finished. Over. Darkness. No consciousness. But I would like to think why has that come on?
Keep an eye on this light outside of the ward I am in. It's motion activated, so it can't be controlled by any switches. My infrared light is not triggering it, otherwise the other motion sensor lights in the building will also be going off. Could this be a case of maybe movement from a bug or an insect such as a moth?
Okay, I'm just setting up some equipment. I've got an EMF meter just in my hand here, so I can get any fluctuations of the energy in this room. We've also got a REM pod on the floor. Now, spirits, I'm going to show you how this works. If you come up to this and touch it, we don't even have to touch it, but you can put your energy into it and it'll let me know that you're present in this area. Interesting, because I know radiators knock. Like that just made a knocking sound, but I know that was because the radiator was on. Yet when I heard the knocking sound last time I was in here, there's no radiator on this wall. It's literally hand sanitizer, a bin, and a sort of like room divider. I'm going to try and do a spirit box in here. Can anyone come and speak to me, please? This is your chance to get your voice across.
Try.
You're trying. Can someone come and tell me their name, please? Anybody who would like to talk to me, my name's Rob. Come and say hello.
Steve.
Did your relatives come and look at you through this window? Were you kept in this room with lots of other people with diseases? Which disease did you have? That's it, all of them. Did you live local around here? In North Tyneside? Newcastle? How many people were in this room when you were here? I'm going to try an EVP session using the voice recorder. See if we can speak to anybody, get any intelligent communication back. That light still hasn't gone off, by the way. Could you come up to me and talk into this little red light that's in my left hand so that I can hear you when I play this recording back? Can you come up to me and say hello? Can you tell me what your name is? Were you part of the Scaffold Hill Hospital because you had some horrible infection or some disease and they sent you here?
Could you come up to me and talk into this little red light that's in my left hand so that I can hear you when I play this recording back? Can you come up to me and
Excuse me. Oh. I've just pressed record and I heard a noise up there. Now that could be natural, that could be perfectly natural. It definitely came from up here, but this is the end of the room where I heard that noise a couple of months ago. If that was someone trying to get my attention, I've heard you, it's working. Another noise over there. Who's here? There's clicking coming from over here, but this could be the radiators. But that was not the radiators, that was something on this. If someone can do that again, I'll hear it. There is clicking in here. Is it this radiator? Yeah, so that's that. But that was not, and there's not a radiator up there, that's obviously just ceiling. Can someone do that again for me? See what's on here. That light's gone off, but it should have done that anyway, because the timer's gone off. Right, that light has gone off. Can you set that to go back on again, please? I believe there's someone here. Who remembers Mip, the robot from the Seaton Home investigation I did at Easington? Well, Mip has made a return. Mip is back. Mip is on the floor. Now, spirits, you'll love this. This is something you can play with. Now, be gentle with him, because he's just a toy. But he is a robot. Now, you might not have seen this before in your day and age. But you can play with him, and he can interact with you. So, for example, watch this. If I swoosh my hand in front of him, watch what happens. He turns around. How cool is that? Might make him go that way as well, watch. Can you come and play with him? Can you stand in front of him? Put your hand in front of him. Can you come and play with him? Can you stand in front of him? Put your hand in front of him.
Watch as I ask for someone to stand in front of the robot, and a light anomaly is picked up moving past. Could this be dust refracting off the infrared light, or someone trying to communicate.
How cool is that? That's the technology we've got now. We've got a device that can do that, and you can make him run around or wheel around. He hasn't got legs. Do you want to come and play with him?
I use an SLS camera which uses LiDAR technology to detect spirit figures in stick figure format to see if I can detect anything in the old hospital ward, but I cannot, so I move on to a different part of the hospital.
That's the Scaffold Hill Hospital. When you were being discharged, as in you were free to go, you were symptom free, this was where you came. They built this in 1926 as an extension, and they were very germ aware at this point. This wasn't the plague era. They knew that. Oh, I thought I saw something walking through there, like a dark shadow. Maybe not. So anyway, you were being discharged. You would come in through this doorway, which leads into the bathhouse. Now, back in the plague era, they thought they didn't know about germs and bacteria because they'd never discovered it. But they were starting to get really aware of this kind of thing in the 20th century. So you would come in here, and there would be a bath right here in the middle of the floor. You would take a bath. Now this was to clear your skin, your hair, your body, just in case you were still in contact with anybody from in there that had something infectious. Obviously you were good to go because you were clear of it. You would take your bath in here. I don't know what the dignity would have been like, whether you would have had some kind of cover or a curtain. Now, this is obviously a storage place now. This is not the original layout of the room. Get your bath. You would dry off and you would come through here. Just like a little side room. And then out this door, which is a fire exit out. It's going to be a bit of a pain closing it, but I'll show you where that leads out. So it was a one-way system. So you didn't go back into the hospital area. It was like all one way. And you would come out of here. And that was you. Now I'm assuming there would be some sort of fence along here to stop you entering back into the hospital. And you would walk down here to freedom. And that's kind of like essentially us as humanity starting to realise how germs and bacteria work, and that we were starting to become a bit more conscious of how we didn't infect other people, how we didn't spread things and take germs with us. They had like a one-way system. That's the bathhouse. Now, that was how people discharge themselves if they were good. The good way of getting out of here. There's one way that people came out of here that was less so good, and it involved going into this building. This is the mortuary, and unfortunately quite a lot of people, whether it was infectious diseases or people from the nearby colliery, ended up in here. can see they would have been walked down. Up there is where the hospital was. I'm going to close the door. I'm in a mortuary. An old 20th century mortuary. I'm going to take a few pictures. This is the creepiest place of here. Flash, well, it's not going to flash. Low light photography. Let's have a look. My cases are on there. This is where bodies would have been taken after you've passed away in the hospital. Is there any spirits in here? Is this where your body was placed? Can you make a noise in here or affect me in any way? I've heard that it's very icy cold in here. It is. I'm wearing a big coat. I know the council who gave me permission to come in here might tell me off for this, but could you throw something in this room to let me know, because there's plenty of objects in here. Just look at the bars on the window. Now I don't know when they were added, or if they were added. Maybe it was just part of, this is where an infected body was being kept. I've got a theory, hear me out. So they talk about when people die, the energy remains, and that's something that people who are physicists will say. Energy doesn't die, energy lasts forever. And that's what people believe a ghost is. It's the energy from a human's body that's still around. And there's a theory that when you die, some people say your soul departs instantly. Others will argue that it takes hours for the energy to drain essentially from a human's body. Which, if that's the case, when you die and you're brought straight into a mortuary like this one, with its wooden timber roof, that those hours after death, the energy is slowly leaving the human body. Now I'm not a physicist, I can't vouch for that. What do you think? Which, if that's the case, it's mortuaries like this where the most energy leaves or departs from the humans. Now I also think it could be the other way around. If you're lying in a hospital ward and you die there, they say you have an out-of-body experience. So where I just was in that ward, how many spirits looked down on the human body that was still on the bed and could see themselves as they departed? That's another theory, in which case that would make that hospital ward more haunted than the mortuary. But we're going to see what we can get in the mortuary. If there's somebody in here, can you make a noise for me, please? Can you knock on something? My name is Rob, and I come to talk to people who have passed into the afterlife. I don't mind if you frighten me. It's not going to frighten me. Trust me. I can feel it getting cold in here. Now, people will say, well, duh, it's night time. Buildings get cold at night. I totally get that. I've got a few pieces of equipment in here, some of which are quite new to the channel. I've been building up an arsenal of equipment. We've got here your amazing EMF meter, which as you can see is on 0, and it's measuring 16 degrees in here. I'm just going to place it on top of my case. That will alarm me if something goes off. Here, you've seen this before on the channel. It's a air pressure monitor. If the air pressure changes, it's basically going to measure 23 times per second. I'm going to switch that on. If the air pressure in here changes, that will alarm. Now it's going to flash. You might not see that on infrared. There we go. They claim that when the air pressure changes, that is sometimes when paranormal activity gets reported. That's what that's going to be for. This is a new piece of kit. It's a temperature monitor device. So basically what happens is you switch it on, it gets a baseline reading. If the temperature goes up, it goes red. If the temperature goes down, it goes blue. So if it gets colder, it'll go blue. So I'm going to put that on. It's just going to calibrate. So it's going yellow. That just means it's calibrating. It's trying to work out what the temperature currently is. So that is on. Now people say that in this room you get cold spots. You get strange... Okay, that was just an alarm to say that it's finished calibrating. Ignore that. So it's gone green. Both devices are green. If there is somebody in here, straight away it's gone cold. Now that measures 100. It's getting colder. So that is basically, I don't know if you can see it on infrared, it's gone blue. So it means it's getting colder every time it bleeps, basically. I'm going to switch it off. It's switch it back on again. See if it's just because the room is freezing cold and it's. Let's see if it still does it. I'll switch it off and back on. Right, it's calibrated. If there's a spirit in here, can you affect this device? Now, it's a temperature gauge. It will tell me if the temperature is going up or it's going down. Now, they believe that when some paranormal activity is occurring, you feel cold. It's a bit of a cliche, isn't it? It's not doing it now. The temperature has actually decreased by 2 degrees in a couple of minutes, few minutes, 5 minutes actually that we've been in here. The temperature has changed by 2 degrees. So that adds a little bit of, well, it validates a little bit what we were getting with that. It is actually picking up that the temperature is going down. I get it. These windows are very thin. There's door. It's probably got gaps underneath it. I'll get the temperature, the thermal imaging camera out there in a bit. If there's anybody in here, can you do that again? Can you make the temperature go even colder for me, please? I did say it felt colder. Can you let your presence be known in here? So that I can at least hear you. I'm going to take a few photographs on my camera. If you want to be on the camera, I'm going to take a picture in 3, 2, 1. Hello, can you come and talk to me? My name's Rob, and I come to talk to spirits from the afterlife who want to communicate with people on the living side. Have you got a message you would like to pass on? Talk into this device. What temperature are we on now? It's 11.3. The temperature's gone down 5 degrees in 10 minutes. 5 degrees in 10 minutes. No wonder that thing was going crazy. I'm going to take some full spectrum pictures in here. This is such a cool room. Stand in front of me if you're there. Now they believe that full spectrum shows the full spectrum of light, and spirits are only visible in certain light frequencies. That's a theory. I'm not saying that's gospel, but I'll take a look at those a little bit later on. You come and interact with these. It's now down to 10.6. Again, I'm not saying that's paranormal. I'm saying the temperature's gone down 6 degrees now in just over 10 minutes. 11, 12 minutes maybe. That's quite a temperature drop. But like I say, it is nighttime, so that is quite normal.
I'm heading into the garage. I want you to take note of all the trees that you can see, the bushes, and the stillness on the microphone outdoors. Remember this. What you are about to see is uncut video. I've deliberately not cut or made any edits so that you can see that what was recorded is all one. A warning, the following few minutes might be difficult to watch. I would not have left this footage in the final edit had the following not occurred, as this death is a bit too recent for comfort.
This is the garage where it happened. So I'm told he came out of the house. There's a current caretaker in there now, so I'm not going to be too loud, but he came into here with a shotgun. Again, I'm just being very careful and being very respectful, but in here, in November 1997, I won't mention the name, and if I do mention it in a call out, I'm going to bleep it out. The caretaker put a shotgun to his head and ended his life right here in this very room. It's verified. There's a plaque on the site commemorating him, and this is where it happened, in this very building, this garage. Cliff, if you're here, I come with full respect. I don't know why you did what you did. You only know that reason. If you can show me any sign that you're here, can you do that for me, please? Can you make a noise and indicate the spot where you took your own life? What was going through your mind when you made that decision to end it? Can you share it with me? That door, that garage door is open ajar. Can you slam it shut if that's you? People believe they've seen your apparition outside on the green. I can't, for whatever reason, imagine this being the site where someone could do something like that. Imagine walking in these doors knowing that this was where your life was about to end, and you were in full control of that moment, and you decided that was what you were going to do. Whoa! Doors just opened. Like doors just opened. Whoa! What the bloody hell? It's not even windy. What on earth just happened there? There's nobody behind it. No one's playing a game. Can you voices? That's the country park round the back. No way. Now there is a path that's going to run on the other side of that hedge, but there's nobody. Who goes out for a walk at this time of night? They're going for a run. What have I just witnessed? I asked for the door to close, and it swung open. How was it? It was closed by like there. Where was it? There. Like a jar like that. There's no wind. Can you do that again? Can you do that again for me, please? There's not even any wind. I'm standing at, you know when you do that thing, you lick your thumb, you lick your finger. I'm not even getting any wind. Whoa! Door's just opened. The door's just opened. Whoa! What the bloody hell? It's not even windy.
Again, look at the trees, the bushes. Listen to the audio. It's still outside. There was no wind. This was recorded in February, and this was the weather forecast for that evening. There was a breeze that day in a southern westerly direction, at a speed that should not do more than move leaves only, and that garage door swings outwards in the opposite direction of what the Met Office had been forecasting. And yes, there were people in the park, but they jog past on the country lane outside of the area. There is a hedge between the park and the area which gets locked up by night. At this angle, you can see through the gap in the hinge, and there is nobody there pulling or joking about. And now watch this.
So this is the door. You can see that if you pull it, even if the wind's blowing it, you've got to literally force it.
I'm demonstrating how much force is needed to swing the door. A constant force would be needed to cause the door to swing all of the way open in the way that it did. Even then, it stops and needs another shove to open further. I do not believe that this door was being opened by natural weather, simply because there was none. And sit down. There's one more thing I need to show you. I'm going to play you an EVP captured during a public ghost hunt here in April 2025, a few weeks after I filmed this.
I want to ask anything.
Can you tell us your name?
Can you tell us what you did here? I want to ask anything.
Can you tell us your name?
Cliff's nickname was Cliffy. It's even on his memorial plaque. I feel uncomfortable naming him in the video. I was going to keep the name anonymous, but I feel for the sake of giving you the proof that death is not final, I had to make the difficult decision to let you hear it. This channel is about showing you whatever evidence I can find and not creating entertainment out of it. I cannot explain this.
I'm in a new part of the building, new part of the complex. It's got like a little cafe, it's got learning rooms, but yet the staff who work on this site claim that this is the most haunted part of the complex. It's built on the site of an old matron's house, where basically the matrons of the hospital were based. And people claim that you hear footsteps in here. I'm just going to sit and listen, see if I can speak to anybody. No equipment, just me in this corridor where staff who work here claim they've heard people walking. Is there anyone in here that was a nurse? A matron? This is just old school, sitting on my own, no gadgets, no gizmos, just me in this building on my own. Can I hear you walking around? Can you make a noise? I'm going to knock. Can you copy it? Very faint, I can hear voices. Did you work at this hospital? Back then you might not have been or might not have felt appreciative, but in the current era, in current time, 2025, we really do appreciate our key workers, hospital staff, nurses, doctors, NHS staff. They're really valued to what we have at the minute. And I know that the NHS wasn't or may not have been around in the early part of the 20th century, so you might have heard of our national health system, but we really do appreciate the people who are part of it because they've helped a lot of people. Is there some sort of toilet? I heard a knocking sound. Hello? This door's gonna close. There's someone in here. You can see through that doorway right up the corridor. I'm looking for anybody that worked at the hospital, at the Scaffold Hill Hospital, who treated people with infectious diseases, because that is some job. And I think anybody that takes that line of work, who works with people with diseases like that, I think is one of the top people in this country in terms of jobs and what you've done to help save people. And it's one of those jobs you've put your own health at risk by putting yourself around people with infectious diseases. And whatever, if you're here and you can hear me, what a person you are, because you are very important, and we still appreciate and put our health workers, carers, doctors, nurses at the very highest regard.
My night at the old Scaffold Hill Hospital has come to an end. What a place. This has got to be one of the most active places to come ghost hunting in the whole of the UK. I've been ghost hunting all around the world, so if you want to have a look at some of the other ghost hunts I've done, then check out the Dead Air channel. And I'll see you on the next video.